This computer terminal provides full access to the L-Car's computer net.
Greetings! Time for another review here on the L-Car's ADV Subspace channel, and this time we take a look at the GPX FSE300r and give it due justice with a full review vid. I've owned the bike since it first came out in July 2020 and put the 300 thumper through relentless crucibles, breaking it in on the toughest terrain and rides to date, and now she's ready for review. Shameless channel plug. If you like mediocre riding, Star Trek and 80s references, and dirt bike adventures from New York to Utah all the way to Naxos, Greece, then please subscribe. It encourages me to keep doing this, so surely subscription is only logical.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious, and don't call me Shirley.
So stop being a patak and subscribe. Usually at this point on a GPX review video, I do a short history of GPX, but I'll just plug my video, Why GPX is the Working Man's Dirt Bike, and you can learn a little bit about where GPX comes from, the bikes they offer, and why you should consider buying one. In a nutshell, the bikes are serious contenders and fill in a vacuum left by Japanese and European manufacturers and offer performance dirt bikes at a price that we can all afford, with unmatched value included. So before you say,
it comes from China,
and
it's a fake.
Nice try, Lao She.
go and ride one and see why GPX is moving forward at warp speed.
They've gone to plaid.
Alright, let's get to it. The FSE300r was originally the FSE250r, but GPX upped the bore and added a bunch of goodies for the 2020 model year, and in my opinion, achieved perfect engine displacement status by upping the ante. Like all GPX frames, the 300 frame is based on a Husqvarna design with matching geometry and ergos. The 2020 versions have Husqvarna style plastics, and the mid-year 21.5 update changed to a KTM style plastic, but that's where the similarities to those brands end. The 300 liquid-cooled engine is a Zongshen design with rock-solid reliability powered by a Delphi fuel injection controller. The engine boasts around 31 horsepower. It comes with a 6-speed wide ratio transmission, perfect for the trails. The suspension is by SCZ along with the brakes. Like all GPX dirt bikes, the 300r is an enduro bike meant for the trails, not for motocross. What makes GPX bikes so special compared to their counterparts is the included equipment at an amazing price. Not only can these bikes hang with the big boys performance-wise, we'll talk about that next, they actually come with all the aftermarket parts you normally have to buy anyways. When I ordered my bike, I actually had a hard time thinking of any parts I could buy to farkle it up. The bikes come standard with CNC billet parts throughout, including wide foot pegs and triple clamps. Also included is the skid plate, LED headlight, digital speedometer, frame guards, and get this, the rims are actually Warp 9 unbranded rims. The 300r even comes with a dual sport kit which includes blinkers and mirrors and wiring connections ready to go. The cheap Chinese stereotype does not apply here as GPX stands apart and the 300r is quality throughout, nearly on par with Japanese quality in my opinion. What do I like about the bike?
Dang!
My first impression when I received my bike in the crate, as I ordered mine straight from GPX in Utah, as I did my TSE 250R, was the build quality was top notch, and they even improved on some things from the 2019 models. The bike just looks sharp, and all the parts have a clean finish with no shortcuts in the quality department. This engine hits the sweet spot displacement for a dirt bike. Too small and you lack power. Too large and it's now too heavy and more likely too powerful for a lot of riding situations, unless you live out west in wide open environments. The 300 Zongshan engine is a tractor machine that has gobs of torque with pull in any gear. It just tracks very well with control down low and has the power to lug up any hill. I've ridden 250s, and most of them, if you pick the wrong gear going up any incline, the engine just loses all steam and dies. Not so with the FSE300R. She loves to lug. I would describe the power as linear, as it's not some fire-breathing wheelie machine like its KTM brothers, but it's just as capable as they are, minus the loop-over wheelies. The 300 in a nutshell: torquey, linear, and usable power. Part of becoming a good rider is being able to trust what your bike can do and have the confidence to grow. After all, what good is a great engine without a frame and suspension that inspires that confidence? I can honestly say that the 300 ergos and suspension are pretty dang good. The suspension soaks up everything you throw at it while feeling not too harsh in the ride it provides. They aren't WP fork plush, but close enough to where the SCC suspension is top notch in my opinion. The SCC, especially if set up, can perform just as well. The frame ergos are identical to a Husqvarna, so it doesn't get any better than that, and it feels like a dirt bike should. The SCC suspension in a nutshell: confidence inspiring. One of the great things about the 300 is all the little things that add up to make it such a great dirt bike. The clutch pull is super light, which makes a huge difference over the long haul, having not to worry about fatigue. I love the foot pegs as they are nice and wide to help me feel planted. The backup kickstart is nice to have along with the e-start. Fuel injection is reliable, and knowing it adjusts to temperature and elevation is a comfort. The throttle response is crisp, smooth, and responsive. The LCD speedometer is one of the nicest I've ever seen. The tires are pretty dang good for stock ones. Stock gearing is perfect for off-road, and I usually hover around second and third gear on the trails. Did I mention the brakes? The brakes are the best brakes I've ever had on a dirt bike, as they modulate very well and stop on a dime. And last but not least, she's just plain sexy.
And I'm dead sexy!
I love the way these bikes look. All these great features added up make the 300R the whole package. It just rides great. And with a throaty 4-stroke engine, she just takes whatever you throw at it with ease and doesn't complain. It loves the slow technical terrain, flowy single track, and hill climbs are its delight. While the 300R is a little heavier than its KTM rivals, it doesn't really ride that way, as it's a well-balanced bike.
I'm the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
One of GPX's greatest strengths is the customer support they offer and backing up what they sell. If you have an issue, they are there to offer advice and help and won't leave you stranded. I have had more than a few parts shipped to me at no cost. Plus, the unofficial GPX Facebook group is amazing with so many people active and willing to help. And what about parts? That's kind of important, isn't it? If you hadn't noticed by now, GPX bikes aren't your run-of-the-mill China bike. Parts are readily available and usually take 2 days to ship. Alright Elcars ADV, you GPX fanboy, what don't you like?
Remember, it's better to tell the truth.
And that's no lie. Now we know.
And knowing is half the battle.
While it's true there are many things I do like, there are some things I don't, but none that are deal breakers in my book. As I stated earlier in this vid, I received one of the bikes from the first shipment, and after my first ride the bike developed a really bad bog and it just wouldn't run right. The header would glow cherry red and flameouts were aplenty. It was definitely a lean condition. GPX immediately sent me a new fuel injection controller, as that was the first thing to try, and how the bike was acting. While the part was in transit, I discovered the problem was a dirty fuel injector. GPX sent me a new one, but a simple cleaning fixed the issue completely. From my understanding, they test these at the factory, and there was probably some bad fuel in there for too long. Not everyone has this issue, but it has popped up here and there. Easy fix, but it is something that GPX needs to fix in the quality control process.
I'm afraid you're just too darn loud.
The pipe is kinda loud, even with the baffle. It's at least a good throaty loud which brings a smile to your face, but could give away your location at those times when you accidentally wander onto private property that isn't yours. Wow, sorry about that cough there, guys.
I know Kung Fu.
Show me.
No manual. None of the GPX bikes come with a manual, unfortunately, but there's plenty of help from GPX and the GPX Facebook group if you run into trouble. She's a little heavy, around 254 pounds-ish dry, but still quite a bit lighter than the DRZ 400. It doesn't ride like it's heavy though, and hides its weight well. Not much of a wheelie machine. While I do love this engine and its endless torque, if you remember I also describe it as linear. Linear is great 9.9 times out of 10 and great for the trails, but the 300 takes a little effort to get the front wheel up. It will power wheelie, it just takes a little technique to get it right. Not a good dual sport. While the 300 can do some road, it's just not the right gearing and engine size to make it a proper dual sport. The 300 is a dirt bike, and off-road is where its happy place is. Save that job for the big brother, the FSE 450R or the Suzuki DRZ 400. What's the purchase process like? I bought both my bikes straight from GPX in Utah and they shipped crated all the way to New York. It's a $300 flat rate shipping fee anywhere in the US. The MSO or Certificate of Origin states motorcycle, so you can most likely register it for street in your state as I have in the Republic of New York. The bikes are crated unbelievably well and comes to you just like any other bike would from any other manufacturer to the dealer. Now you have the option of purchasing it assembled or buying it from a dealer in your state as well. But if you buy it crated, you are taking on the same setup process as any other dirt bike would have from a dealer. If you could turn a wrench, you could set up a GPX bike. Drop the forks, put the wheels on, mount the bars and controls, and Loctite, and don't forget the Loctite, and you're good to go a half day later. Check out my setup video if you want to see what the process looks like. You've probably noticed that I love the FSE300R, and why not? There's a lot to love about this bike. The 300 is just a freaking awesome dirt bike. If you're a pro rider, you're probably not buying a GPX anyways, but for the rest of us, the 300 fits new to advanced riders because it's just as capable and can handle anything the more expensive bikes can handle, while saving some serious coin in the process. Most importantly, it's just fun to ride. So the GPX FSE300R gets an L-Cars ADV N-Gauge rating, which basically means buy the dang thing. Well, thanks for watching guys, and remember not to be a patak and subscribe. And as usual, live long and ride.